And welcome back to another video. Today we'll be talking about beating the biggest time killer ever, which is procrastination. And I've listed various timestamps below so you can skip to whichever part that interests you the most and to save time for you. And let's get right into it. Now, my name is Hugo. I'm one of the junior doctors working in Australia at the moment. And back in high school, I used to get C's, D's and even F's for my results. And it's not until I met Kevin, who is also a doctor now, who has taught me to study systems and secrets. And this is where everything changed. I started to get much better grades and ironically studying less and less as the years come by. And today I wish to pass on another of these study tips to you so you too can get better results with less efforts. And if I had to summarize beating procrastination in one sentence, it would be this: when the why is big enough, the how will take care of itself. Now, it might sound like another cheesy, fluffy, motivational quote, but let me break that down for you practically. Now, you see, behind everything that we do, there is always a drive behind it. The thing that you do must be important enough for you to move even a single muscle. Now, imagine you ate 5 hours ago and you're now a bit hungry. However, you're also lying in bed watching your favorite show on Netflix, and it is a good episode. And the pleasure that you get with lying in bed and watching your favorite episode is currently greater than finding food, and so you probably chose to finish the episode first. But let's say you've been starved for 7 days in the same scenario. Now, finding food now becomes priority, and you wouldn't think about anything else because that's the most important thing for you at this moment. And that's the urgency. It is the drive and it is the engine for you to take any action. And what drives the engine the most is pride. And by pride, I'm not talking about being arrogant, a show-off, or just patronizing other people. This is the negative pride that we don't want. But it's the pride internally that makes us a better person, and what I call positive pride. And maybe you think the topics that you're studying is meaningless, but what if getting results would make your family proud, or make your friends proud, or most importantly, make yourself proud? And what if your friends and family or future employers will look at you differently from now on? Now, is there someone that you want to prove wrong? Is there someone better than you that you want to beat? Do you want to prove to yourself that you have great potential and get good results for it? And do you know that you just have that voice inside you that you know you could do much better if you just set your mind to it? Now, if any of these have resonated with you, I would suggest you write that question down just on a sticky note and stick it right in front of your desk in front of you. And one of my biggest changes in my results is actually finding my own why inside. It's just one word that I wrote down and stuck it in front of my desk, which is MBCHB. It was the name of the medicine degree that I wanted to get in at that time. Whenever I don't feel like studying or just not having a good day, I'll just be looking at that piece of paper with MBCHB written on it. It meant a lot to me at that time. It meant that I can prove to myself that I could do better. I know that I have the potential inside me and I just need to work consistently towards it. And it meant hopefully making my family feel proud of me for achieving this goal as well. And this word meant everything at that time, and it was the drive of my study engine. Now, although it might sound abstract and fluffy, but I do really encourage you to find that positive pride inside you and amplify that as much as possible. Now, this becomes your why, your reason, and the driving force of your own study engine and even your life engine. Now, next, after you've found your engine or the driving force of your vehicle, you need the drive chain. So basically your engine's here. It's all the parts that connects from this engine to the wheels so you can actually move forward in this real world. And there are many ways to work for many people, and I'll talk about some of the most effective tactics to beat procrastination. Number one is identifying and removing triggers. And one of my own biggest distraction is my phone. I'll be scrolling through Facebook or get distracted by one of the games on my phone, and before I know it, half an hour is gone or an hour is gone. Or you might be starting on YouTube just trying to find a study topic to look in, and you somehow end up watching cat videos in the end. Now, every time that happens, jot down on a piece of paper or your phone or a list of distracting things that ended up wasting time. If you're like me, that you're finding your phone distracting, you could use apps like Forest to make getting off your phone a rewarding experience, or just simply leave your phone in another room if you can. And number two is making yourself accountable. And there are many ways of doing this, and you can tell one of your best friends or family to make you accountable. Let them know what you want to aim for by the end of this session, and they will expect you to come back to them with that task completed by that time frame. Or if you're like me, I get distracted with videos and games alone because no one is watching me and I can just play all day if I want to. So I like studying in public because I personally feel guilty of wasting time and watching videos and playing games when other people are watching me. I know if someone that I know walks up to me and sees me distracted from study, I feel quite bad about it. And number 3, set your study time in blocks. So find out how long you can typically study for before you lose focus. If it's an hour, for example, put all your distractions, including your phones and iPads, away and only check your messages or Instagram after that 1 hour. You'll feel like you have earned it and not feel so guilty for being on your phone at that time. And number 4 is just do one thing to begin with. Just do that small thing to kickstart your routine again, and focus on a second small thing. It might be just copying some learning objectives or just even opening up your lecture and just reading the first line. Now, this often kicks you back to the groove and you can keep going. You also don't need to keep your mind on the million things that you need to do on your schedule, because that will just become overwhelming for you. Just start by doing that one thing to begin with. And number 5 is setting a harder target. And this is all about Parkinson's law, and I'll talk more in depth about it in another dedicated video. But essentially, Parkinson's law states that our work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. So in simple terms, the longer time frame that you allow yourself to complete a task, the longer the task ends up taking up. You might have even experienced this. An example would be an assignment will be due in 1 month's time, and you would allow yourself a whole month doing it. And people often start by doing some light research, and it will get heavily distracted and achieve almost no progress for the first 3 weeks. And then by the last few days, you would magically, before the assignment is due, all of a sudden you're able to conjure up 5,000 words in those few days with all the references. And if you ignore the official deadline and set yourself a tighter deadline, that ironically distracts you from procrastination and allows you to focus more. Now, number 6 is lastly, be kind to yourself. It is okay to procrastinate because we are all humans and we do need a break at times. I'm a big advocate of study-life balance, and you can't simply study all day long. And it goes to good planning and just doing small chunks a day. Even just 1 or 2 hours a day makes a huge difference in the final outcome. And don't be too harsh on yourself or feel guilty about all that time that you've wasted in the past, because the only thing that you can really focus on is the time that you have left in front of you. Like in tip 4, just do that one thing to get started, and often that does the magic. And now in summary, you can also visit the timeline below to visit all the topics that we have talked about so far. So we've talked about the importance of finding the driving force behind your study and even your life. And we've also talked about the importance of having good methods of beating procrastination. Now, I can give you the best methods to beat procrastination, but the wheels still won't turn because there isn't an engine behind it that's driving it. And on the other hand, you can also have the best reason and the driving force here, but the wheels still won't turn because your drive chain in the middle fails to deliver this power here to your wheels to get you moving ahead, and you still will be staying in the same spot and not move ahead. So in summary, you need a good reason, which is your engine, and good methods, which is your drive chain, for your wheels to actually turn and move ahead in study and even in your own life. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you're interested in more study tips like this, make sure you check out my free webinar revealing my top 10 secrets to studying less and achieve better results. Click the link below and here's a quick sneak peek of the webinar.
Meant to be in the great outdoors.